At dinner, my mom mocked me for not owning a penthouse, so I told her she's been praising my tenant. Hi, I'm Michael, 29. And last week, my mom humiliated me at dinner for not owning a penthouse like my younger brother. Everyone laughed, until I revealed something that shut the whole table down. He's been renting it from me for years. Let me walk you into the moment the laughter stopped. My family always treated me like the background music in a room where my brother was the lead singer with the spotlight. His name's Logan, 2 years younger, all charm and noise and sparkle. The kind of guy who could trip over his own ego and still get a standing ovation. Me? I was the reliable one. Invisible until needed. You'll do fine, son. Growing up, Logan could say he wanted to start a worm farm and my parents would help him build a website and order glossy business cards. I got an A in AP Calculus once and my mom's response was, "Well, we expected that from you, Michael." Every family gathering was basically the Logan hype hour. Did you see Logan's new suit? Logan's starting a brand. Logan made steak last week. I once saved someone's retirement portfolio from collapsing and my mom told me, "That's nice. You've always been practical." By the time I was 25, I'd learned to keep my head down and play long term. No fancy cars, no flashy vacations. Just focus, save, build. Meanwhile, Logan was living like a startup founder with 0 startups. Nice car, high-rise apartment, a wardrobe full of rented confidence. He always said things like, "Money's just energy, man," which usually meant he was out of it. I worked in real estate finance, quietly. Got into property ownership early, thanks to years of saving and a few brutal winters in a rent-controlled studio that smelled like old socks and broken dreams. When the market dipped in 2020, I bought a penthouse under an LLC. I kept it off social media, off conversations. Not because I was hiding it, but because it wasn't anyone's business. I was building equity, not clout. Fast forward to Logan applying to live in that exact penthouse without knowing it was mine. His girlfriend at the time, Vanessa, had money and style and a talent for turning mediocre men into status symbols. They moved in, took the monthly rent hike like pros, posted sunset selfies from the terrace. And I let it happen. I watched Logan perform success from a stage I'd built. For 2 years he lived there, acting like the king of a castle that wasn't his. Not once did he think to ask who the landlord was. Not once did I offer that info. It wasn't pettiness, it was patience. Then came last week's dinner. My parents picked a fancy spot to celebrate Logan's new milestone. He showed up 25 minutes late, naturally, and immediately launched into a monologue about real estate strategy. Said things like, "You have to move fast in this market." And, "I'm actually thinking of buying the penthouse. My landlord's some faceless investor." Everyone laughed. My mom swooned. Then she turned to me, all judgy. "Michael, don't you think it's time to grow up? Your brother is buying property. You're still renting that little place, aren't you?" I just smiled, took a sip of my water, and dropped it. "Actually, Mom, Logan's been renting from me for 2 years." Logan's smile fell like a stock market crash. My mom froze, blinked, then said, "What?" Like the word had personally betrayed her. I opened my phone, showed them the property manager portal. My name on the LLC. Rent payment history. Logan's overdue balance. Everything. You could hear the linen napkins shift. Logan mumbled something about not knowing, about the LLC hiding ownership. My mom looked betrayed, like I had lied to her by not disclosing I was quietly outpacing the golden child. I looked at Logan and said, "You want to impress people? Start by paying your rent." Dinner ended without dessert. Nobody asked for Logan's real estate advice after that. The fallout hit fast, and loud. The next morning, I woke up to 6 missed calls from my mother, 2 passive-aggressive texts from my dad. "Just remember, family is more than property rights." And 1 absolutely deranged voice memo from Logan, which opened with, "You made me look like an idiot in front of Mom." That memo was 3 minutes of blame, guilt, and just enough fake sadness to qualify for a soap opera. Apparently I had set him up, waited to humiliate him, and acted like some kind of undercover landlord vigilante. Right. Meanwhile, my phone buzzed with a text from my property manager. "Logan hasn't responded to our notice about the overdue rent. Would you like us to start the formal eviction process?" I didn't reply. Not yet. I wasn't angry, just done. For years I kept my head down while Logan played golden boy with borrowed charisma and second-hand money. Everyone clapped. Now he was standing on a foundation I'd built, and calling it his empire. And when I revealed the truth, I was the villain. That weekend, Monica, my mom, organized another dinner. Just family, she said, like that was a good thing. I almost declined. Almost. But part of me knew this wasn't about dinner. It was damage control. The moment I walked in, I knew it was a setup. The whole vibe screamed family intervention, but make it emotionally manipulative. My mom opened with, "Michael, we're worried about how you're handling things." Handling what, exactly? Owning my own property? Not broadcasting it? Or making your favorite son look like a fool? Then Frank, my dad, leaned in with his favorite line. "Let's look at this from Logan's perspective." I did. He's 27, 6 months behind on rent, living in a place he pretended to own, and upset that his cover got blown. That's the perspective. Logan, for his part, looked like a kicked puppy with a haircut that cost more than my first dining table. He stayed quiet while Monica spoke for him. She tried the guilt route. "He's embarrassed. He's going through a hard time. You could have told us privately." I stayed calm. "I didn't tell you publicly. I told him the truth. He's the one who made it a story." Then she said something that made my jaw clench. "You used this to show off." I stared at her. "Mom, I didn't even tell you I owned the place for 2 years. I let Logan play pretend. You're mad because I finally told the truth." Silence. Then Logan finally spoke. Quiet. Measured. "I wasn't trying to scam you. I just thought you'd never be the kind of guy who'd buy a penthouse." And there it was. That single sentence summed up 2 decades of being underestimated by my own family. I stood up. Grabbed my coat. "Don't worry," I said. "This dinner's on me. Just like the mortgage." And I left. Outside, the air felt clearer than it had in years. No guilt. No need to explain. Just me, finally realizing that the spotlight was never the goal. The foundation was. And I'd already built mine. 2 days later, Logan showed up at my building unannounced. I live in a modest but solid place. Quiet neighborhood, nothing flashy. The kind of building where the mailroom still smells like cardboard and the maintenance guy knows your name. I was walking back from the gym, headphones in, when I saw him sitting on the front steps, hood up, sunglasses on, like a TMZ reject in hiding. He stood when he saw me. "We need to talk." I didn't say anything. Just unlocked the door and walked inside. If he followed, fine. If not, even better. He did. Of course he did. Upstairs in my apartment, he looked around like he was seeing it for the first time. Which, to be fair, he was. I'd never invited him over. He was always too busy, manifesting abundance, or networking with like-minded creatives, which usually meant drinking overpriced cocktails and pitching imaginary apps. He sat on the edge of my couch like it was foreign terrain. "This place is small." I raised an eyebrow. "But mine." He winced. "I didn't come to fight. I messed up, alright?" I let that hang in the air. Not rushing to forgive. Not rushing to anything. He kept going. "I got behind on rent. I didn't tell Vanessa. She would have left sooner. I figured I'd catch up eventually. And yeah, I said some things at dinner that were not great." "Not great?" I said. "You implied I was a failure while sitting in a place I own. And then you tried to act like you could buy it, like I was just some clueless investor." He rubbed his face. "I know. That's why I'm here." I folded my arms. "What do you want, Logan?" "I need time," he said. "Just until I get this consulting gig lined up." I laughed once. Not cruel, just real. "You want me to delay eviction because of a consulting gig that doesn't exist yet? It's not like you need the rent that badly." He shot back. I stood still. That hit differently. That assumption, that because I wasn't struggling, I should accept disrespect like it was rent, was the core of our whole history. "You're right," I said. "I don't need the rent. I need self-respect." Which means not giving free luxury living to someone who only values me when I'm quiet and useful. He didn't respond. Then I added, "You've got 30 days, Logan. No special treatment. No family discount. If you pay in full by then, we're square. If not, the lease terminates, and you move out." He looked like he wanted to argue. But this time, there was no audience. No Monica to swoop in with guilt. No Frank to play neutral. Just him and the consequences. He nodded. Quietly. As he stood to leave, he looked around again. You really built all this, huh? Every inch, I said. At the door, he paused. You know, I always thought I'd be the one to make it. I opened the door. Then maybe it's time to redefine what making it actually looks like. He left. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like the overlooked brother. I felt like a man with his name on the deed. Words spread like wildfire. Not just in the family group chat, though that place went nuclear, but among the extended orbit of cousins, in-laws, and old family friends who somehow thought Logan had made it big selling NFTs or advising startups. Turns out, when the golden child loses his glow, everyone suddenly has opinions. Aunt Carol called me the next day, full concern in her voice. Michael, sweetheart, I just heard about the dinner incident. Are you all right? Translation: tell me everything so I can stir it into gossip stew. I kept it simple. I'm fine. She hesitated. It was very public. Maybe next time handle it privately? There it was. The family motto, protect appearances, not people. I did handle it privately for 2 years. I said. He's the one who made it public. Silence. Then, well, I'm sure you didn't mean to embarrass him. I hung up. Politely but firmly. I didn't owe anyone a performance. Meanwhile, Monica launched a one-woman redemption tour on Logan's behalf. She called Frank's side of the family, saying I blindsided Logan. She sent texts filled with, he's struggling, and Michael is being punitive. One message literally read, he's just trying to build his future, and Michael is kicking him while he's down. Kicking him? The man has been squatting in my equity and calling it his throne. Then came the kicker. A Venmo request from Logan. For $800. The note said, partial rent, appreciate your patience bro, folded hands. The nerve. I denied the request, screenshotted it, and sent it to our property manager. Nadia replied instantly. You want me to serve notice? I told her not yet. Let's give him the 30 days I promised. I wasn't out for revenge. I was out for resolution. Then, almost comically, I got an email from Vanessa. Yes, that Vanessa. The ex-girlfriend who used to post curated morning routines from my penthouse. She was reaching out for a collaboration, whatever that meant. Her message read, Hi Michael. I just wanted to say your story is inspiring. Quiet power is so underrated. If you're ever interested in partnering on lifestyle investment content, let me know. Best. V. I stared at it for a full minute before deleting it. Not replying. Not engaging. Just deleting. Because here's what they all missed. This wasn't a glow-up story. It was an excavation. I didn't rise. I dug myself out, of expectations, of labels, of the role they cast me in and never let me audition out of. Now, I wasn't playing humble landlord anymore. I was reminding everyone that silence doesn't mean weakness. Sometimes it means, I'm watching. I'm calculating. And I'm ready. Exactly 2 weeks into the countdown, Logan's tone changed. I knew it would. It always did, right after guilt stopped working and before desperation kicked in. First came the charm offensive. A casual text. Hey man. Just wondering if you'd be open to talking again. No pressure. Just brother to brother. I ignored it. Then a follow-up message full of classic Logan flavor. I've been thinking. Maybe we could do something together? You've got the financial brain. I've got the network. Let's build something. Let's build something. Dude, you couldn't build a sandwich without an Instagram filter and someone else's credit card. Still, I didn't respond. I wasn't trying to play power games. I was just out. The emotional line of credit I'd extended to him for 29 years had expired. A few days later, I saw the public shift. On Logan's socials, the tone changed. Gone were the penthouse sunsets and the motivational captions. In their place were vague, broody stories about loyalty and true colors. One post literally read, sometimes the ones closest to you want to see you lose. He didn't tag me, but come on. That same night, Monica called. She didn't even say hi. Just jumped straight in. Michael, do you really want to make your brother homeless? I closed my laptop. Took a breath. He's not homeless, Mom. He's 30, and he's been living in a luxury property he didn't pay for. That's not survival. That's entitlement. She sighed dramatically. You're being cruel. I stood up, paced the room slowly. No, Mom. Cruel is you spending my entire childhood making me feel like second place in my own life. Cruel is Logan mocking my apartment while living in mine. Cruel is pretending his charm is a substitute for accountability. She went quiet. Then, like clockwork, came the pivot. I just don't want the family to fall apart. There it was. Not concern. Not understanding. Just image management. The family as a brand. And I, apparently, was bad PR. I spoke slowly. Calmly. Then maybe next time, protect the part of the family that's been carrying it in silence. She didn't know what to say. So I hung up. That night, Nadia sent me a report. Logan had missed another scheduled payment. And according to the housekeeping photo report, half the furniture had been moved or rearranged. Which meant one thing. He was planning something. Either a hasty exit, or a last-ditch plea for chaos. And sure enough, the next morning, I got a group text. Me, Monica, Frank, and Logan. It read, I know everyone's upset, but I've decided to move out early. No hard feelings. Just want a fresh start. Hope we can all be family again soon. Translation: I'm jumping before I get pushed. I replied with 2 words. Understood. Deadline holds. No drama. No lecture. Just precision. Because this wasn't about vengeance. It was about boundaries. And this time, I wasn't blinking. Move-out day arrived with all the grace of a toddler tantrum in a glass shop. Nadia texted me at 8:12 a.m. He's here. 2 friends, a half-full U-Haul, and a lot of attitude. I'll keep you posted. I trusted her. She was the kind of property manager who kept receipts, handled keys like evidence, and could disarm a tenant with a clipboard and a smile. But even she admitted later, Logan's energy was theatrical. By noon, I got the full report. He'd left behind a designer lamp, broken, 2 bags of trash, not in the bin, and a note scrawled in Sharpa on the fridge. Hope you enjoy your empty little empire. Love always, L. Charming to the last drop. Nadia handled the handover professionally. Keys returned. Photos taken. Lease officially terminated. No thank you. No apology. Not even a nod to the fact that for 2 years, he'd lived a fantasy at my expense. And yet, when I got the message that the penthouse was finally vacant, I didn't feel triumphant. I felt quiet. It's strange. You think the moment you reclaim something that was being misused, by someone who never deserved it, you'll feel victorious. Powerful. Vindicated. Instead, I stood in the unit that night, empty now, the echo of Logan's fake life gone, and I just felt still. The view was the same. Massive, sweeping. The city looked like a painting. The kitchen still gleamed. The floors still shined. But the air was different. No posing. No curated vibes. No Logan calling it my place on TikTok. Just silence. Just me. I walked through each room slowly. I'd done this before, when I first bought it, during renovations, but this time, I saw the space as mine in a new way. Not just legally. Emotionally. I opened a bottle of cheap red I'd brought, sat on the floor with a slice of pizza, and looked out over the skyline. No filters. No flexing. Just fulfillment. The next morning, I relisted the penthouse. This time, I screened every applicant personally. No Instagram couples. No influencers. No entrepreneurs, who couldn't explain what they actually did. I ended up selecting a couple in their 40s. 2 lawyers. Low-key. Married 12 years. No pets, no drama, and bless them, no social media presence whatsoever. They moved in 2 weeks later and sent a thank you email to Nadia. We're so grateful to live here. It already feels like home. I smiled reading it. Because finally, the place was being lived in, not performed from. And just like that, the penthouse chapter closed. Logan? He was still out there. Monica kept updating me even when I didn't ask. He's looking at new places, she'd say. Or, he's trying to get back on his feet. And Frank, true to form, texted me once. Proud of how you handled things. Hope your brother learns from this. I didn't reply. Not out of pettiness. Out of peace. Because I finally understood something no one in my family ever taught me. You don't owe grace to people who confuse your silence with surrender. Sometimes, the real win isn't revenge. It's recovery. 3 weeks after Logan's quiet exit, Family dinner made its return like a bad seasonal allergy. Monica invited everyone. "Just a nice catch-up," she said. "We haven't all sat down since, you know." Oh, I knew. It was her version of a reset, light appetizers and heavy denial. I almost didn't go. I had a million better things to do, including watching paint dry or alphabetizing my utility bills. But curiosity won. I wanted to see how everyone would play it. When I arrived, Logan was already there. Dressed down. Muted colors. He smiled weakly, like a politician trying to rebrand. Gone was the oversized confidence, the penthouse swagger, the future mogul energy. He looked like someone mid-reset. Honestly, it suited him. Tara wasn't there. Apparently they'd split. No dramatic story, just a quiet fizzle. Nadia said she left halfway through the move-out, didn't even say goodbye. Classic drama addict exit. The air around the table was weird, like everyone was trying to breathe through a filter. Monica opened with small talk. "The weather's been so strange lately." Frank asked about my work, actually sounding interested for once. Logan just watched. I answered questions when asked. Didn't offer much else. Until, midway through the salad course, Monica couldn't help herself. "You know," she said lightly, "Logan's really trying to start over. He's been interviewing. Working on himself. He even said he might want to go back to school." I nodded once. "Good." Then, softer, she added, "He could probably use a little support from his brother right now." I set my fork down. Looked at her calmly. "Mom, I did support him. For 2 years. I just stopped doing it invisibly." Frank cleared his throat. "He's learning. We all are." Then Logan spoke, for the first time all night. His voice was low. No performance. No edge. "I messed up," he said, looking straight at me. "I didn't just fall behind. I lied. I treated your generosity like it was a stage for me to look good on. I'm sorry." The whole table froze. Even Monica's wine glass paused mid-air. I looked at him. This was the first time in my life Logan had ever apologized to me in front of our parents. I didn't say, "It's okay," because it wasn't. But I did say, "Thank you?" He nodded. Later, as people were gathering coats and leftovers, he caught me by the door. "I've been doing some marketing contract work," he said. "Small stuff, but legit. I'm paying for my own place now." "That's good," I said. He hesitated. "It's nothing fancy." "Maybe that's the point," I said. "No need to sell a version of yourself you haven't earned yet." He looked down. Then back up. "I'm starting to get that." I clapped him on the shoulder once. Not a hug. But something real. And as I stepped out into the night, I realized something else. Logan wasn't just falling. He was finally landing. And maybe, just maybe, this time, on his own 2 feet. 6 months passed. Not quietly, but meaningfully. Logan didn't vanish, but he didn't dominate either. He moved into a modest apartment across town. Actually showed up to work consistently. Started freelancing for a small real estate marketing firm. The guy who once faked entire business ventures now had a LinkedIn that wasn't delusional. Progress. Meanwhile, I leveled up. I sold the penthouse. The couple I'd rented it to loved it, offered above market to buy it outright. I accepted. Made a healthy profit. Reinvested into a new project, multi-unit, up-and-coming neighborhood, less flashy, more scalable. I wasn't chasing skylines anymore. I was building roots. After the sale, Monica called. "You sold the penthouse?" she asked, stunned like I'd sold a family heirloom. "Yes," I said. "It's called asset rotation." She was silent for a second, then added, "You always were good with numbers." I waited. "Logan told me," she said finally. "He told me you helped him more than we ever knew." I didn't say anything. Then, quietly, "I think I owe you an apology. It wasn't perfect. But it landed." Later that week, Logan and I grabbed coffee. Real coffee. No champagne. No skyline. Just a bench outside a normal cafe, 2 brothers, no filters. He handed me a check. I looked at it. $6,400. The exact amount of overdue rent he'd racked up before moving out. I said I'd pay you back. He said. "You don't have to." I replied, not out of generosity, just because I'd written it off already. He shook his head. "I need to." I took the check. Folded it once. Slid it into my wallet. Not as money but as proof. Logan wasn't faking growth anymore. He was earning it. Before we left, he said something that stuck with me. You know, for a long time, I thought success was looking the part. But it's really just owning your mistakes and fixing them. I smiled. That's the part they never put in the TED Talks. He laughed. And for the first time in our lives, we weren't playing roles. We were just two men, no spotlight, no expectations, trying to get it right. That night, I stood in my new project space. Concrete floors. Unpainted drywall. It smelled like possibility. And I felt something I hadn't in years. Not revenge. Not pride. Just peace. By the end of that year, everything had stabilized. Not just financially, but emotionally. Like some invisible tension finally let go of our family's spine. Logan stayed on the steady track. Got promoted. Not huge money, but honest work. He moved into a slightly bigger apartment, bought furniture for the first time that didn't come from someone's curb. He even stopped talking like a motivational quote come to life. We'd meet up once a month for coffee, no agenda, no drama. Just brothers checking in. The conversations shifted too. Less posturing, more realness. He started asking me for advice, without ego, without pretending he already knew the answer. The family dinners got bearable again. Monica chilled out. Not overnight, she still occasionally slipped back into Logan is finding himself mode, but now, when she said it, it wasn't a lecture aimed at me. It was just a mom trying to stay hopeful. The guilt trips stopped. The comparisons stopped. And shockingly, Frank started showing signs of emotional presence. Once over dinner, he asked me what I was working on. And then, get this, actually listened to the answer. Weird, right? Even Aunt Carol backed off after Logan, bless his new self-awareness, told her to quit turning our lives into her personal tabloid. I almost clapped. But the biggest shift came from within me. I finally started spending. Not recklessly, but intentionally. I upgraded my car, left the sad bachelor apartment behind, and moved into a space that actually reflected who I'd become. Nothing flashy, just warm wood, clean light, and a balcony with a view that didn't scream, "Look at me," but whispered, "You did it." One evening, Logan and I were standing on that balcony, beers in hand, watching the city settle into night. He said, "You know, I used to think I was the main character." I glanced at him. "You weren't the only one." He nodded. "I think I needed to lose everything fake to find anything real." And he meant it. That's the thing about identity. It gets shaped in silence, not applause. He raised his bottle. To growth. I raised mine back. To receipts. We clinked, laughed, and for once, there was no bitterness in the air. No performance. Just two brothers. Different paths. Same view. About a year after the infamous dinner, that dinner, I got a text from Logan. "You free this weekend? Mom wants to do a real one." Just us. No drama. I stared at it. Smiled a little. We met at my place first. He brought cookies. Actual, real, store-bought cookies. I said, "Look at you, providing baked goods like a functioning adult." He grinned. Growth. It's uncomfortable. We drove together. When we arrived at our parents' place, the vibe was different. The table was set, but without theatrics. No fancy centerpieces, no weird tension, no Monica trying to guide the conversation like a cruise ship director. Just food. Just family. Just normal. Halfway through the meal, Logan asked Dad a question about investing. Frank, formerly Captain Neutral, leaned in and started explaining compound interest like he'd invented it. Monica watched quietly. Then looked at me. "Michael," she said, "do you know how to help Logan with a retirement account?" I blinked. It wasn't a demand. It wasn't a trap. It was respect. "I do," I said. "And I will." After dinner, I helped Mom clean up. She didn't say much. Just moved around the kitchen in that quiet way she does when her thoughts are loud. Then she turned to me. "I want to say something," she said. "And I want to get it right." She took a breath. "I don't think I ever understood how hard it was to be the steady one. To always be the dependable son. The one who didn't ask for anything." I didn't say a word. She kept going. "I think I confused easy with okay. And I'm sorry for that." I exhaled. For the first time in a long time, I believed her. Later, Logan and I stood outside, leaning on the hood of his not-so-fancy new car. No drama. No followers. Just him. You ever think, he said, maybe we got lucky? I raised an eyebrow. How? We got to hit the reset button without burning the whole thing down. I looked at the house. The porch light glowing like something out of a movie. Our parents inside, sipping tea. No fighting. No guilt. Just peace. Yeah, I said. We got lucky. Then he added, next time I fall behind on rent, I'll come straight to you. I deadpan. That's great. Because the next place I buy is going to have triple the rent. He laughed. Fair. And there it was. Balance. Not revenge. Not dominance. Just two brothers who finally understood what it meant to be family. And this time, nobody had to lose for someone else to win. 3 months after that dinner, Logan surprised me. Not with a visit or a text, those were becoming normal now, but with a real move. A tangible one. He invited me to see his new place. It wasn't big. It wasn't high-rise. It was a ground-floor unit in a fourplex, with creaky floors, mismatched paint on the walls, and a kitchen that hadn't seen an update since the Obama administration. But it was his. Paid for with his own money. Lease signed by him. No co-signer, no girlfriend's trust fund, no networking gig, behind the scenes. I know it's not much, he said, opening the door like he was still bracing for judgment. It's more than you think, I said, stepping inside. The place had personality. Worn but honest. A stack of job applications sat on the counter next to a half-drunk protein shake. A dry erase board on the fridge had goals written in blue marker. One of them said, "Pay Michael back, completely." He noticed me looking. "Still owe you $2,000, he said. "I'm getting there." I nodded. "You're already there more than you were." We sat on the beat-up couch, knees knocking over an old coffee table. He looked at me and said something I wasn't ready for. "You know, I used to think I had to outshine you to matter." I didn't move. Just listened. And then when I couldn't keep up, I figured if I could fake it, maybe I'd still win. The penthouse, the vibe, the image, it was like performance armor. Performance armor? I echoed. He shrugged. I thought being loud made me strong. Turns out strength is paying rent on time and asking for help before it's a crisis. We were both quiet for a beat. Then I said, "I'm proud of you, man." He smiled, not cocky, not smug. Just soft. "You know what's wild?" he said. "That whole time in the penthouse, pretending it was mine. I wasn't happy. But sitting in this dingy place, with my name on the lease and $12 in my checking account, I feel solid." I laughed. "That's called dignity. It's weird at first, but it sticks." He looked around the room and then back at me. "Next year," he said, "I want to build something real. A project. Something with you, if you're open to it." I didn't say yes. But I didn't say no. Because for the first time in a long time, I wasn't protecting myself from him. I was just with him. Not as landlord and tenant. Not as first place and runner-up. But as brothers. One who had finally found his footing. And one who had learned that peace was better than being proven right. Spring rolled in like a clean slate. The kind of season where even the city noise feels softer. Trees finally stop pretending to be dead. And everyone walks a little taller, like maybe something good is around the corner. Logan and I were in a good rhythm. Monthly check-ins became weekly calls. Not long ones, just enough. Sometimes we talked about money, sometimes about work, sometimes nothing at all. Once he called just to ask, "Do I need renter's insurance?" And I nearly cried from how normal it was. Meanwhile, Monica changed. Not drastically, but in those subtle, grown-up ways that sneak up on you. She stopped comparing. Stopped forcing conversations. At dinner one night, she actually interrupted herself and said, "I was going to say something judgmental just now. I'm not going to." Frank nearly dropped his fork. That same dinner, Logan brought someone new. No performance, no curated outfits, no endless monologue about their vibe as a power couple. Just a woman named Jamie, quiet, warm, a software engineer with zero interest in being anyone's aesthetic. She leaned over during dinner and said, "Logan says you're the one who actually taught him about work ethic." I smirked. "Don't believe everything he tells you." But honestly? It landed. After dinner, Logan and I stood by my car. The air was cool. Light wind. He had that look, serious, nervous, rehearsed. You remember what I said a while ago? He asked. About wanting to build something real? I nodded. Well, I've been working on something. It's small. But I've got a pitch deck, and I want your honest take. No mercy. I held out my hand. Let's see it. He reached into his backpack, pulled out a binder, yes, a physical binder, and handed it over. As I flipped through the pages, something unexpected hit me. It wasn't the quality, though it wasn't bad. It was the effort. The thought. The grounded tone. The total lack of fluff. No rented dreams. No name-dropping. No fake-it-till-you-implode energy. It was earnest. I think this could work, I said. He blinked. Seriously? Seriously. He let out a breath, like he'd been holding it for weeks. I'd be open to funding it, I added. With conditions. He grinned. Of course. This is you we're talking about. Condition 1, I said. You treat the business like you treat your bills, on time, no stories. Condition 2, if your pitch includes the word synergy, I walk. He laughed. Fair. I handed the binder back. Let's build. For real this time. Logan nodded. And this time, he didn't look like a guy trying to prove something. He just looked ready. By summer, we were officially business partners. Small scale. Quiet. But real. The project? A digital property tool, kind of like Zillow, if Zillow was less bloated and actually helpful. Logan handled marketing and design. I handled funding, compliance, and the part most people avoid, math. We called it Frame. The name was Logan's idea. Because it's about giving people a clearer frame for what they want to build, he said. I almost made fun of him, but it worked. And he meant it. Early days were messy. He missed our first 7:30 a.m. strategy call because he thought it was more of a vibe than a locked-in time. I emailed him the calendar invite in silence and labeled it not a vibe. He laughed. But he showed up early the next day, with coffee. We launched the beta version by August. No one clapped. No big unveiling. Just a clean UI, a simple backend, and a quiet little ripple through a niche online forum. It was enough. Logan called me at 10 p.m. that night. I figured it was a bug. But when I picked up, he said nothing for a second. Then, thanks for giving me a second chance. I leaned back in my chair. You gave you the second chance. I just didn't stop you this time. He was quiet for a beat. You know, he said, I used to think I was trying to catch up to you. Now I think I'm just trying to keep pace with myself. That landed. Because for the first time, he wasn't chasing applause. He was building something he didn't have to lie about. And me? I felt lighter. Not because we were making money, though we were. But because this worked. Not just the product. The partnership. The balance. One night, I invited Logan over to the new place. He brought Jamie. I made dinner, nothing fancy, just something warm. Our parents joined. No tension. No side comments. Monica brought wine. Frank helped set the table. At one point, we were all laughing about some ridiculous thing Logan did in high school, something involving duct tape, a borrowed go-kart, and a deeply concerned neighbor named Ed, when I realized something. This was the moment. Not the dinner showdown. Not the move out. Not the deal. This. A table where no one was pretending. Where no one was trying to win. Just a family, broken, healed, recalibrated, sitting together, finally at the same height. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I had to prove I belonged there. I just did. By fall, Frame had real traction. Nothing viral, nothing flashy. Just slow, steady growth, the kind that doesn't burn out because it wasn't built on hype. We landed our first institutional pilot with a boutique firm. A real client, with a real use case, and real expectations. Logan showed up to the first demo in a clean shirt, no sunglasses indoors, no grand entrance. He opened with, "Hi, I'm Logan Mitchell. I used to oversell everything. I don't anymore." They laughed. I nearly choked on my water. But here's the thing, they listened. He was good. Calm, confident, not overpolished. He didn't pretend to be something he wasn't. He just presented the product like someone who'd helped build it. Which, for the first time ever, he actually had. Afterward, we grabbed tacos from this tiny food truck we used to pass by back in the days he called me overly frugal. As we ate on the curb, Logan looked over at me and said, "You think we're good now? Like really good?" I shrugged. "You're not stealing Wi-Fi from your girlfriend's condo to tweet fake stock advice anymore, so yeah, I'd say we're trending positive." He smirked. "I deserve that." Then, more serious, "You think we'll always be okay now?" And there it was, that fragile piece. The part underneath all his charm and jokes and growth. The kid inside him still scared I'd leave again. That I'd shut the door and lock it this time for good. I didn't dodge it. "I think we'll always be honest now," I said. "And that's better." He nodded. Quietly. Like he didn't need more than that. A week later, Monica invited me over alone. No Logan. No agenda. Just me. She handed me a cup of tea, sat across from me, and said something I never thought I'd hear. "You were right to draw the line," she said. "I didn't like it at the time, but I see now, it saved us." I didn't know what to say. So I just nodded. Then she added, "I was so afraid of seeing Logan fail that I didn't realize I was letting him drag you down." It was the closest she'd ever come to admitting the favoritism. The blindness. The damage. "I always thought love meant defending your children," she continued. "But sometimes love means making them stop." She reached over and touched my hand. "Thank you for making me stop." I didn't cry. But something in me let go in that moment. Something that had been holding its breath since I was maybe 13. We talked for another hour. Not about guilt. Not about the past. About how peace feels when it finally sticks. Winter came early that year, gray skies, biting air, and the kind of cold that makes you honest without meaning to. Logan and I were standing in line at a hardware store, of all places, arguing about the best kind of caulk. "Progress." "Silicone," I said. "Acrylic," he argued. "You're wrong." "I'm choosing based on vibe, not molecular integrity." I stared. "This is why you didn't pass chemistry." He laughed. Loud and unguarded. Later, back at his place, we fixed a window draft. He handed me the wrong tool 3 times, then nailed it on the 4th. No ego, no pretending. Just effort. That used to be rare with him. Now? It was kind of the norm. We sat on milk crates and shared instant ramen like broke college kids. He nudged my knee with his. "You think we're boring now?" I looked around. Boring is peaceful. He nodded, more thoughtful than usual. "It's weird. When I stopped chasing the look of success, I started feeling it." I didn't say anything. Didn't need to. He added, "Next time Mom throws us another dinner, I'll show up early. Help cook. Be the one setting the table, not the topic." I smiled. "She'll cry." "She already did," he said quietly. Told me she was proud, for real this time. I exhaled. Slowly. The way you do when the air finally feels safe to breathe. The world hadn't changed. We had. A few weeks ago, Logan hosted a dinner at his new place. Nothing fancy, 4 chairs, mismatched plates, Jamie's Spotify playlist humming soft indie in the background. Monica brought dessert. Frank brought wine. I brought calm. Logan cooked. Real food. Burned the garlic bread, sure, but the lasagna was solid. He didn't brag. Didn't turn the night into a one-man show. Just moved around the kitchen with sleeves rolled and sleeves of humility. Halfway through the meal, he stood up, tapped his glass. "Just want to say something." We all paused. He looked at me. "Michael, thanks for making me face myself." Not with anger. With truth. Monica dabbed her eyes. Jamie squeezed his hand. Then Logan grinned. "Also thanks for not actually evicting me with a locksmith and a crowbar." Laughter. Real. Easy. Afterward I stayed to help clean. When everyone left, Logan walked me to my car. "You ever think we'd get here?" he asked. "No," I said. "But I'm glad we did." He looked down the street, hands in pockets. "You're my brother, man. Not my competition. Not my crutch. Just my brother." We didn't hug. We don't need to anymore. As I drove off, I looked back once. Logan's porch light was on. His place. His name on the lease. His life, finally upright. And for the first time in years I knew. No one in this family needed a spotlight anymore. We'd all finally learned how to stand in the light together.